Okay, the next important concept is called the data manipulation language. So the whole of SQL that we are learning right now can be broken up into different subsets, right? There is something called as data manipulation language, data definition language, data control language, broadly speaking, right? So data manipulation language is a subset of SQL commands and keywords which help us manipulate the data. For example, look at select. Select is part of the DML, right? What select enables us to do is select enables us to manipulate the data and retrieve whatever data we want, right? Either through joins, all of that, right? Select in a nutshell enables us to obtain whatever rows or columns of data that we want after all the processing involved in obtaining exactly whatever data we want, right? Similarly, there are three other very important commands, right, or keywords in SQL that belong to DML. There is something called as insert, update, and delete. As the names tell you, insert helps you insert data into a table. Update helps you update the data that is already in the table, and delete helps you remove or delete rows within a table, right? So first let's look at insert, because we've already gone through select in lots of details, and we've learned lots of concepts like joins, inner queries or subqueries. All of that we learned in the context of select, right? Now let's learn about insert, right, in this video. We will also learn about update and delete in the next couple of videos. So typically this is how you can insert a new row into a table. So for example, I could say insert into the table name that I want, which is movies here. And these are the column names, right? Or these are the fields that I have in this table. And I can say values, right? And within these braces, I tell what is the value of the ID here. Look at this. First I give the value of the ID. Then I give the value of the name. Remember, name is a string, right? Next is year. Next is rank score, right? So what I've done here is, if I just execute this line of query, it will insert a new row with these 4 column values corresponding to these 4 column names into the table movies, right? Very simple example, nothing very fancy here, right? In a nutshell, this is a process, or this is a simple command through which you can insert one new row or add a new row to your table, right? Now, obvious question, can you add multiple rows, right? So let's see, if I want to add multiple rows, how do I achieve that, right? If I want to insert, or if I want to add multiple rows, how do I do it? Very simple, very similar syntax. The only difference would be, once you have all the values, you place a comma and you insert the next row here, right? So you have the first row of data that you want to insert, the second row of data that you want to insert, and the third row of data that you want to insert, right? And remember, if you remember our table called movies, it has a primary key, which is the ID, which means in your whole table, you can only have one row with a given ID, right? If you try to, because it's a primary key, we discussed about primary keys and foreign keys, right? The very starting of SQL, right? Now, if you try to insert the same ID, it will result in an error. Because since ID is a primary key, you cannot insert the same ID, you cannot insert a new row with the same ID as the older one, right? Because that is breaking the fact that IDs are primary keys, which means they're going to be unique for each row in the table. That's why, if you notice, I've used different IDs here for each of the rows that I'm inserting, right? The next interesting thing is, obviously, so this is to insert one row, this is to insert multiple rows. The next thing is, can you insert data from other tables? Obviously you can, right? For that, you can use the nested subqueries, right? So there is a very nice example on Wikipedia that let me walk you through, right? So there is this very nice Wikipedia link. Of course, I'll share this document with all of you, as a notes, right? So if I go here, I think I already have it here. Oh yes, so here is an example, right? I already kept it open. So copying rows from other tables, right? Here you see this, insert into table name. And when I'm inserting into this is my subquery. Because I'm saying select star from another table called phone book, where this name could be either John Doe or Peter Doe, right? So what I have here is a subquery or an inner query, right? What I have is a subquery which is first executed. It will get me all the records or all the rows that I want, and this resultant will be inserted into this table, right? So my subqueries can also be used to insert. So this is one simple strategy to insert multiple rows, because there will be multiple rows which are resultant from this select query, right? Now all of those rows will be inserted into the new table phone book, right? So this is one strategy to copy multiple rows from one table to another table, right? So this is, insert typically has three forms: inserting one row, multiple rows, and inserting from an other table using a simple nested subquery or inner query.